With a sort of retro starship design revival taking place throughout the Federation, it was only a matter of time before the Grissom Class would be born. But what do we know about this class whose parent design earned a bad reputation throughout the Alpha and Beta quadrants? Well, today we'll find out. Hello and welcome to another episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon, a Star Trek web series that dives into the history of any given topic using beta canon sources and my own imagination to fill in the gaps. In today's episode, we're taking a look at the Grissom Class as first seen in Star Trek Online to better understand its place in Star Trek history. Please note, as Star Trek continues to grow, develop, and thrive, many elements of Star Trek Online have been disproven by canon. Therefore, as usual, I've crafted a story omitting those inaccuracies that I hope you will enjoy. However, because this is just a beta canon video, all information relayed should pretty much be taken with a grain of stardust and only considered a little bit of Star Trek fun. And so, with all that out of the way, let's begin. The Oberth class had earned a bad reputation throughout the Milky Way galaxy. Launched in the 2270s, the Oberth class was basically a large sensor array with limited starship facilities attached to it. With barely any weaponry to speak of, throughout the next century, many starships of the class would be lost, causing citizens of the Federation to declare that the class must be made of a new material, explodium. And yet, Starfleet Command seemed to be churning out vessels of the class at the speed of light. But why would Starfleet Command do this? Well, the truth behind the class was far more complex than anyone had ever realized. After the imposed Organian peace treaty took effect, both the Federation and Klingon Empire had various fleet asset caps put upon them. But there were various loopholes that both sides would exploit, and one of those loopholes was the science starship loophole. According to the terms of the Organian Peace Treaty, either side could build as many scientific starships as they wanted, as long as they were minimally armed and clearly geared towards research within the cosmos, and the Oberth class certainly was. Even after the signing of the Khitomer Peace Accords with the Klingon Empire, Starfleet Command would continue to build Oberth-class vessels, expanding their scientific research programs by giving some starships of the class to private individuals to conduct their personal research. But after almost a century of service and ridicule, it was finally decided to decommission the Oberth class in favor of the far more powerful Nova class, whose sensor systems of the time were actually more powerful than those of the aged Oberth class. But two events would conspire to bring the Oberth class back to life in a way no one had ever thought possible. The synth attack of 2385 saw 2/3 of the Federation fleet destroyed or beyond salvage. In fact, the entire shipyards of Utopia Planitia and Mars itself were set ablaze. Looking to fill vital roles within the Federation fleet, Starfleet Command would pull several Oberth-class starships out of its decommissioned yards, temporarily recommissioning them with limited technologies added to them, and these Oberth-class vessels would perform their various duties well, until they were finally returned to their graveyard in the latter part of the 2390s. Meanwhile, even though their homeworld had been destroyed, the new Free Romulan Republic would begin normalization of relations with the Federation, even going so far as to enter into several joint scientific missions, the main of which being the Borg Reclamation Project. The technology developed from this single joint venture would once again revolutionize the Federation and its starships technology. By the turn of the century, a sort of retro starship design revival had begun throughout the Federation, with classes like the Constellation, Miranda, and Excelsior receiving a Mark upgrade, being jam-packed full of new technologies once held by the Borg. And someone somewhere in the deepest, darkest places of the new Titan shipyards asked the simple question, what would happen if we updated the Oberth class in this same way? And by 2406, the Grissom class would be born. Sitting at a length of 131 meters, the Grissom class would be designed to be operated by 80 officers and crew members. Transwarp capable, the Grissom class would have a standard safe cruising speed of warp factor 8, with an emergency maximum speed of warp factor 9.9 for 24-hour increments. the Grissom Class's thruster and impulse systems would both be upgraded, and as a result, this class would be among the most maneuverable of a class this size within the fleet. The biggest change between the Oberth and Grissom classes would be tactically, where the Oberth class would be minimally armed, the Grissom class would make up for that deficiency in spades. The Grissom class would contain both phaser emitter arrays as well as torpedo launching systems, capable of firing photon, quantum, and even transphasic torpedoes. The phaser arrays themselves were also completely reconfigurable to allow the Grissom class to emit various energy outputs with very little effort. Shielding for the new class was also standard for the time, though it should be noted that the Grissom class's shields were actually slightly stronger than those used by the Nova class science variant. With the collapse of the Romulan Star Empire after its homeworld was destroyed in 2387, gone too were the treaties with the Empire that prevented Starfleet Command from developing and experimenting with cloaking devices. As a result, the Grissom class would contain Starfleet Command's very first official version of that device, actually using data collected decades earlier to create what was known as a phased space membrane. In theory, this new defensive system would partially phase the Grissom class vessel during tactical situations, allowing incoming fire to simply pass through the starship rather than hitting the ship proper. Unfortunately, this ability, though eventually did work as intended, was found to be unreliable at best, and a drain on this smaller starship's energy reserves. As a result, this particular new system would only be included within this class, and not distributed fleet-wide. The Grissom class's scientific array was among the best created for a starship class up to that time in history, at least when it came to short-range abilities. Short-range sensors were hypersensitive and allowed the Grissom class to conduct planetary studies far faster than any other class in the fleet. Long-range scanner capabilities, however, were only on par with other vessel classes the same size as the Grissom class. The shakedown cruise of the Grissom class would last 6 months, before Starfleet Command would commission the class and begin construction on 54 starships over the next 7 years. By the mid to late 25th century, the Grissom class had not only been upgraded and refit several times, but it also had proven itself a valuable addition to the Federation fleet, never obtaining the same sullied reputation its predecessor, the Oberth class, had gained. And as a result, the last starship of the Grissom class would be decommissioned in 2519. Created to correct the perceived wrongs of its parent class, the Grissom class would be just as important and useful to Starfleet Command as the Oberth class had once been, earning this class its well-deserved, redemptive place in Starfleet history. Thank you for watching today's episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon. What do you think of the Grissom class and the historical narrative that I've created here? Do you want to see more videos like this one? Well, leave your comments in the section below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, hitting that little bell icon so you won't miss a single video we release. Want to help the channel phase cloak its way into the history books? Then consider becoming a channel member subscriber or a channel patron, both a major help that allows this channel to purchase resources and 3D models to keep it going. The link to both memberships is in the description below. Thanks again for watching, live long, and prosper.